my most humble pranams at the divine lotus feet of Sri Satya Sai Baba. Brothers and sisters, Sai Ram. It has been a singular pleasure and good fortune to attend this conference. So I'm going to start with a couple of stories. The first story is about what you might call spiritual gate crashing. Now, we were scheduled for a visit to Oman, where we had had long discussions about a training program. And we were scheduled to leave just at the time when this conference was being held. A couple of weeks before, the Ministry of Education in Oman couldn't get their act together to invite the 71 school principals that they were supposed to do. So they postponed the meeting in Oman. And on the same day, Brother Indrapalan phoned and said, would you be able to come to this conference? This is one of the examples of psych incidents. And this I call spiritual gate crashing, because then I was asked to come and give an address, a brief address, an overview. But the program is very tight. Could I give an overview of SSEHV globally in 5 minutes? Now, I know I can do many things, but this I can't do. So I had a little bit of a bargaining. And I said, 5 minutes is not enough. They said, okay, we can give you a little bit more. 10 minutes? Very reluctantly, I said, yes, 10 minutes. So forgive me for being very quick in this overview. The second story I want to tell you is about our experience with Swami, the 2 instructions, my marching orders that I had from him. I used to be a very ardent Mahayana Buddhism devotee before I came to Sai organization. And that meant long meditations and very focused meditations on a variety of things, including death and emptiness and loving kindness and so on. In one of the interviews, Swami said to me, and I used to go into a meditation room away from the home and spend maybe an hour and a half lost in meditation morning and evening. And Swami called us for an interview and he said, what is it that you do in your shrine? So I said, Swami, I meditate. And he said, meditate? That is selfish. He said, that is, and he then said, fish is better than selfish. And I felt, fish is better than selfish, Swami? Then I reflected on that. A fish cleans up its environment. And to be away from home, and then he added, he said, meditation is all the time. He said, meditation is all the time, and work is better than worship. Then at another interview he said, that was the first marching order. And the second marching order he gave, he said, where is God? So I said, God, Swami is here. He said, he is so small he can fit into your chest. He is everywhere. He is in everything. See God, see God everywhere. Be good, do good. So those were the 2 marching orders, and they have actually been the accent of my engagement in Sai organization. Now, this invitation to come here has been amazingly good for me and for my other half, better half, because we have been able to experience the bliss of the Prashanti bhajans and see the performances which have been so wonderful and experience the love here that we've experienced. So this spiritual gate crashing into this conference is a very special blessing. Now, education, the theme of the conference about the boomerang. The boomerang requires a very skillful throw. Otherwise, it won't come back to you. And I feel that the skills that the education can give the devotees in the Sai organization and outside are the skills that are required to throw the boomerang so that it will follow the trajectory that you intend it to follow. We have heard a lot over this conference in the last couple of years, beautiful discussions and beautiful ideas, beautiful spiritual teachings of Swami, focused on the goal. The goal is God realization. We have also heard a lot about motivation, but do you require the skills? Bhagavad Gita is about the skillful action that we will take while engaged in the world. And Satya Sai education, human values, is that education that gives us the skills to be able to navigate our way through life with being a yogi at heart and engaged in the world outside in action. So education in human values is about cultivating the skills. And Swami has given this word, EduCare. Now, EduCare has got three different meanings. We understand EduCare is the path of evolution and involution, the manifestation and the demanifestation back into divinity. That is one concept. But in education in human values, we say EduCare is a pedagogic technique. It is a technique to draw out from the participants, from the children, from the trainers, from the facilitators, their intrinsic connection with divinity through framing the right question. So that the question results in reflection, reflection results in making that connection with our own divine conscience, with our own inner divinity. So it's a pedagogic technique which draws out the values, which gives us the connection with the divinity and through inquiry, so that we are able to live moment to moment in the presence of divinity. No matter what we are doing, no matter what work we are doing, no matter where we are, whether we are a checkout counter in a supermarket, or whether we are in the family, or whether we are in our workplace, whether we are driving or not driving, or whether we are just resting, that we are able to connect with the divine continuously, on a continuing basis, so that we are living in the presence of divinity. That is the second concept. The EduCare is a pedagogic technique designed to strengthen this capacity and this skill of being able to be with Swami, being able to be with divinity, no matter what we are doing. And the third aspect of EduCare is that all is divine, that the five elements are divine. And therefore, what we heard here about environmental care is a connection with divinity. So we are connected. We came from the stardust. This is what the cosmology tells us. We came from the dust from the planet, and we evolved into a life form, and that eventually we will return back to divinity, to Om. Now, the five elements are divine. Everything is divine. This chair is divine. This table is divine. This thing is divine. You are divine. I am divine. But do we have the skill and the capacity to see that? That is the challenge. And that is part of EduCare. So the emphasis in education in human values, unlike the secular education that we receive in the universities and the schools, is the element of commitment to have a new vision, to have the third eye open, to have a personal commitment to inner transformation, so that we have an inner ecology that is divine. A divine inner ecology. That's where we should be grounded. So we need to become the change that we want to see around us. We must start transformation with ourselves first. And this is what Swami's teachings are all about. What is the personal transformation we can make? What is the effort we require? What are the skills we need to put in place so that we are connecting with our higher self? So the challenge for the education committee, if you like, which I am the co-chair, is to build the capacity within the organization, in the children, in the adults, and in the youth, and outside of the organization, in our communities, in the Sai schools, in the Sai institutes, and therefore, through them, with the community programs that we might develop in our institutes and schools. So this is the essence of the Education Committee's capacity building. I have been very fortunate because I have a wonderful team, a beautiful team of committed, very, very accomplished devotees who are members of the Education Committee. Now, we've got a variety of programs, and I'll come to that in a minute. About 4 years ago, we had a conference in Prashanti. For many years, we have been focusing on the schools and adoption of schools and bringing values through secular systems of education in the community, and our SSIO schools being as our model schools. We have also got the institutes that are guiding the establishments of schools and also the programs in the schools. But in this conference 4 years ago, I was the chair at that time, not the co-chair, but I was the chair, and I felt, and I conveyed this, that we are not as successful in doing that is taking education human values, Satyasai education human values, into the school systems. But what we can do is create also a capacity in our institutes and our organizations of being able to develop very contextualized programs to the needs of our communities. So Swami has written Swami has given discourse in 26,000 pages. And those spiritual teachings are deep. But within our system, we need to be able to look at what is happening in the secular system, in psychology, in sociology, in youth development, in early childhood education, and integrate that with the spiritual teaching so that we have holistic programs which are grounded in science and the current state of knowledge with Swami's teachings. And that is the main challenge we have, so that we can undertake to develop programs that are not, as a surgeon, I operate on people, but these programs will be on spiritual operations. How can we have spiritual operations in our organization, in our institutes, that make a change in the community? I had a lot to tell you, but that will have to wait to another time. All I can say then at the end is that I am very grateful for this opportunity, brief as it is, of being able to share some ideas on what we are doing. Swami had told my wife and myself, he said, educate your children, marry them, and come and live with me. Our children have not finished their education, they're in their 40s, and they are not married. But I feel that Swami's message was, come live with me. I had interpreted with his physical presence in Prashanti Nilayam. But I now realize his living with him is living with him moment to moment. And this is basically the objective of all the Satyasai education human values. Thank you very much for having us here. Thank you.